What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you tune in and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on like ring culture, right? And LeBron James and his camp, they want you to think that like ring culture is toxic and ring culture is bad for basketball. And so in this video, I'm going to compare ring culture to stat culture, right? And just like what is better for basketball, like ring culture or stats, like chasing stats, padding stats, and building up the stats and stuff like that, right? And so when you think about like everything LeBron James, and LeBron James has accomplished a lot in his career, like passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the for the most points and stuff like that. Like that's that's big, that's substantial, right? But basketball is not like baseball. Like in baseball, like who has the home runs record and who has the steals record? Like base that works in baseball for steals and stuff like that. That works in baseball because it's so much harder to have team success in baseball because you have nine players on the field. Then you have like what 18 to 25, active baseball players. So it's harder to have success. And you might have a great baseball player on a team that's not really all that good. So, his numbers and his stats will separate him from the rest of his team, right? Because if even if he hit a home run every time he come up to base or to the plate, or if a baseball player steal every time he get on base, that don't mean his team is going to win because he's only one of nine or one of 25, right? But in basketball, you are one of you can affect winning so much more by being a dominant ball player on the court, right? You can affect it offensively and defensively. So that's why winning is held in a higher regard as far as basketball. So when you talk about stats in basketball, that stats are cool, but people, in my opinion, they want to see winning more so than stats. Like LeBron James, and then stats sometimes could work against you. Like with LeBron James, like he have a ton of turnovers, whereas though protecting the ball, should be a priority in basketball. But he got he leads. I think historically, like he's up there at least in the top two or three far as turnovers. He might be leading. I'm gonna look it up because I think he has more turnovers than anybody. Him and Steph Curry got a ton of turnovers, right? But let's get back to like the stats versus the like when you think about rings, you get in the NBA, you get rings because number one, you're a dominant basketball player, and so you affect the game both offensively and defensively, right? Um, and I think from a fan standpoint, people can relate to that because a fan base will be more connected to a player for winning rings than they would for somebody that got stats because they can relate. Like for instance, if you was a Golden State Warrior fan and you follow Steph Curry from his rookie year to like where he is now in year 17, and you've been there through all the ups and downs, he started out, he came in with promise and everything. Then he had a few injuries, he was having ankle problems. And that emotional up and down, that emotional wave that you ride with Steph Curry throughout his career. And then when they first make it to the playoffs, there's some excitement about that. And then, when they win their first ring, all that right there that goes into not just for Golden State fans, but for basketball fans in general, to follow a player from college, basically at Davidson University, to his 17th year in the league, and all of the highs and the lows. I just think it just creates more of a emotional connection to that player, and you can identify that right with that because everybody in their life has, ups and downs and ups and downs, man. And so you can identify with that. But everybody won't score 40,000 points, in an NBA game. So that's harder to that's that's harder for a fan to relate to. And I think it's better for the game. There's more of a emotional connection with the fan base for somebody who's winning rings. That's why I always say that guys um who stay, like franchise players who stay in one team throughout their whole career, is better for their career because they have a foundation, and their fan base is not fractured, right? Whereas though LeBron James, his fan base is fractured. He has fans from his Miami Heat days. He has fans from his Cleveland Cavalier days, and he got fans from his at the Lakers, right? But none of those fans have the emotional connection to LeBron James as the connection like Steph Curry fans, right? Because he's been there the whole time. And it means something when you're there for the whole time because now you're special. Like it's like having one girlfriend for all those years. Like that girlfriend don't have to worry about the fact that like y'all experience all these highs and lows together. But LeBron James, his fan base is not special. Like the same things he did for the Miami fans, he did for the Cleveland Cavalier fans. And the same things that he did for the Cleveland fans, he did for the Lakers fan, right? So no fan base really they don't feel special. They don't have that connection that Steph Curry fans have, right? So when you talk about chasing rings and having success in one season, I think that's better for the player, and I think it's better for the league. When you have when a fan base is not fractured. So he don't want you. LeBron James don't want people to think that rings matter. He wants you to think that taking shortcuts is the way to do it. And I think if the NBA continue to allow LeBron James to take that approach, and they allow basketball players to act on that, and I think they will have just what they got now. Like, well, NBA ratings are down, um, the attendance is down, and LeBron James just gets so much pushback on everything he says or does publicly because you know he's trying to create his own narrative. Whereas though all Steph Curry had to do is perform on court, right? Just perform on court, be yourself, and the fan base is going to love you. They're gonna draw a connection to you because you allow the fan base. Everybody in the fan base some people might have a connection to Steph Curry because they're a family man. Some people might have a connection to Steph Curry because he can shoot the three, or maybe people identify with him because he only like 6'1", and he's but all that people identify with Steph Curry for different reasons, but everybody do identify with him. Like LeBron James, he's trying to write his own narrative, and then he's trying to get you to buy into his narrative, and he's gonna get pushed back. Whereas though Steph Curry is just letting each individual fan create their own narrative for like why they admire him, why they are loyal to him. And I think that works better for Steph Curry. It works better for the league. And that's why, he don't get the pushback or the outrage or that LeBron James trying to manufacture a narrative, whereas though Steph Curry is just letting his play on the court dictate, you know, like speak for itself. Some people like him, like I said, because he's a great shooter. Some people admire him because he's a family man, which LeBron James is a family man too. But people just are going to make up their own narrative for why they like you. And if you do that in one place instead of spreading yourself throughout all these different places, you have a more loyal fan base. And that's coming to people see that now. Like like Chris Paul, like the way the Clippers just did Chris Paul, like fire him at night on the road, you know, just imagine if Golden State Warriors try to do something like that to Steph Curry. Like if Steph Curry, they wanted to part ways with Steph Curry, like they wanted to trade him. They have to be strategic about how they handle him because you're going to upset the fan base. And if you upset the fan base in the Warrior fan base, that's not good for business. But if you upset Chris Paul's fan base because he played for 6 different teams, then he have a fractured fan base. Some people might be upset, but basically his fan base don't. It's not. There's nothing special there between him and his fan base. The same things he did for the Clippers are the same things he did for OKC. And the same things he did for OKC are the same things he did for the when he played for the Spurs or when he played for Phoenix. So ain't nothing special there, So man, it's about rings and it's about winning. Stats is cool. And if you continue to win, you're gonna accumulate some stats anyway. But yeah, man. Let me know what y'all think though. Would you prefer to be, have stats, or would you prefer to have the rings and be a winner? So let me know. Maybe I should have compared Steph Curry to somebody like Chris Paul. Chris Paul too, like he moved all over the place. And like I said, his fan base is not that loyal to him, even though he was a great basketball player, but he don't have a loyal fan base and he didn't win. You know, Steph Curry, in my opinion, he did it the right way. Things worked out for him. But I don't know, man. So that's my take on it. I'm more of a rings guy, especially when you talk about basketball, because great basketball players can have a larger effect than like in football, a great football player or a great baseball player. Great basketball players can have a larger effect. So people, they get judged for winning because you have a larger impact on your team. So with that being said, man, y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.